Welcome back, everybody, to the BRUBBLE podcast, a podcast where we explore young voices and perspectives from in and around the Brussels bubble, and also young pictures from in and around the Brussels bubble. Because today we are doing a very special episode, as always when Dan and I get together, about the best ranking, choosing the best European painting. How are you doing today, Dan?
I'm very good, thanks, Simon. How are you?
I'm having a colorful kind of day, I feel like.
Yeah, I can tell from the beautiful t-shirt. For people watching on YouTube, Simon, as always, bringing the fashion. And gotta respect it. I'm just wearing the shirt that I wore in work earlier.
But you should say it's a Vincent van Gogh little piece, It reminds me a bit of like what he would wear when he's painting.
Probably. We don't have the records of that, but it's giving a little bit Picasso as well, I think. It's a little bit Cubist.
No, but your shirt as well. Yeah. That's what I imagine a painter would wear when they're in the garden or something.
I appreciate that, yeah. It's kind of, it's green, yeah, so it's kind of blending with nature and so on. Yeah.
Well, Dan mentioned quickly when we started here that you should be watching on YouTube. And I really think you should be, because we'll be showing all the paintings as we go along. I am pretty sure they're all in the public domain. If not, don't double check it, because that should be fine.
It's fine. Don't be a snitch.
Yes.
Yeah.
As always, what we do here on this channel when we decide to do these fun little episodes is we take 32, objects according to a theme. This time it's paintings, one per European country, except one country has two, and one which is not from a country, but you'll see as we go along. Randomly put them together on a list, and then we choose which one is the best. And in the March Madness bracket kind of go along. Did I do a good job of explaining that, Dan?
I think that was an excellent job for some listeners/viewers. And indeed, yeah, quite a visual episode. Some very famous paintings on here. Some less so, but cool to learn about other paintings from, maybe smaller countries in Europe, like less heralded artists. So definitely worth watching, or at least, Googling it if you're listening afterwards. Yeah. And checking out like what kind of paintings there are to marvel at.
I will say this is one of my favorite ones to do research for, because I learned a lot about random art history, because behind each painting there's a story. Behind most paintings, a few I didn't find anything on, but behind most of them there's a cool little, a few fun facts, a few cool details, which I hope will, paint the picture as we go along a bit more to our readers.
That was a painting pun. I like that. Yeah.
Before we go in, one final question I always ask you, Dan. What makes a painting good? Oh, what's the criteria you're going to use? I
didn't realize it's become like a theme, but you're right. This is a question I ask every time. For me, like, painting is a very subjective thing, but I need to kind of have some kind of emotional connection to the painting. I feel like I connect much more to paintings of people for that reason. So, like, kind of abstract paintings. Some more like kind of the contemporary ones, which kind of like either break down the human form or just like play with color and stuff. It's not really for me. I feel like there has to be some kind of me looking into the eyes of somebody and kind of and making that connection. And I think there is a lot to be said for portraying like the real world, real situations. I'm a big fan of Impressionism.
You're
for that reason,
by it. I
am impressed by it. Yeah, like there's so often beautiful like paintings from like the Renaissance, but they're usually more stylized, or like scenes from the Bible, or mythology. But I think like scenes which feel like they could happen in the real world too. I prefer. But again, that's just for me. People listening, watching have very different opinions, and I'm sure you do as well.
I was gonna say, I think this might be one of the more contentious episodes then, because I feel like I'm a bit of the more new school wave, where I kind of enjoy the more abstract colors, the more interplay of, scribbles and lines which form their own meanings on a canvas.
I should have been able to tell it from your shirt.
I almost feel like that's more timeless rather than a picture of time. Because when you see those scribbles on a canvas, those kind of exist beyond the conceptions of, human society. Mm-hmm. And I think that kind of being able to derive meaning from that, it's really thinking about your own physical state. And not physical, but mental state, and then looking at those colors, looking at those things, those will derive the meaning from it, rather than a picture of an old man somewhere.
Yeah, but for me, it doesn't have to be timeless necessarily. Like, something that's very rooted in a moment in time. I think that's why contextual information is very important. Like, it is good, like in galleries, and it presents information about what's going on in the world. Because for me, then, I feel like I can understand it more. and then like draw parallels with like the modern day, and kind of like as like a time capsule, like a historical document. But yeah, what I'm hearing is that there will be some debates. Maybe some rock paper scissors will happen over the course of this episode.
Yeah. And you did mention timeless. We are not people who are timeless because we don't want to do another 2.5 hour podcast like last time.
We have
Although that was a great thing to do.
We have people to see. Yes, we are going to try our best. We know that you also have better things to be doing than listening to us.
Yeah.
So let's just play one.
Let's get into it before we talk about what makes a painting good for too long. I regret asking this already. So up to our first matchup, it's an English painting versus a Luxembourgish painting. Luck of the draw, people, random number generated and put these up. I had no interest in doing it the way it was. So it's the Fighting Tremaire, which is formerly known as the Fighting Tremaire, tugged to the last birth to be broken up, 1838. Painted in 1838, as the title suggests, by J.M.W. Turner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Familiar?
Yeah. Features in James Bond.
It does. It's Skyfall.
Exactly. Yeah. When Bond and Q are having a little chat and having different interpretations of this painting, and again, it's like historical document, 1838, but also it's like decline of empire.
Yeah. Because that's really what struck me with this picture, because it does seem very mournful. To those who haven't seen it, it's the Fighting Tremaire, which is a very, storied, treasured fighting ship, especially from the Battle of Trafalgar. Very, very famous from there, but it's being towed away to its final dock to be dismantled by its steam tugboat as the last one of her kind, basically. And it kind of symbolizes, and especially with like the background of like the setting sun, it kind of symbolizes, a shift in times.
Exactly. And the contrast as being pulled by like a steam powered boat. Yeah, that it's the next generation is coming through. So interesting. Yeah, it is a very like in a way it could be kind of like a cold image because there's no actual people in it, but but it can also feel like very personal, like about like how like our lives decline and we eventually get broken up for parts and scrap people's life.
Fun fact about this one, apparently tugboats were kind of new, kind of not new, but this was the first time, according to the Oxford Dictionary, that the word tugged was used in reference to a tugboat.
Well, there we go. Thank you to the OED. Yeah, that's a good fact.
Anyways, this is up against the famous painting from Luxembourg. I'm not sure this one is famous. I will say, before we go off, he pointed upwards. My girlfriend is from Luxembourg. She's listening around. But I said the same thing to her. I searched up Luxembourgish paintings. All of them, every single one, was of the little Luxembourg town and how it looked from like a portrait like scenario. There was nothing else. It was just Luxembourg that they painted.
They just love Luxembourg. Yeah.
It was a bit boring. But anyways, it's a Luxembourg from the Alzette River is what I went with, by Jean-Baptiste Fresez, who is one of the more famed Luxembourgish landscape painters. Don't have too much on it.
It's a pretty standard city painting. I think you can see some people in the foreground, and you have the river there, and it's pretty standard. I think you could see like 20 of those in a big gallery, just like landscapes, cityscapes.
But I really do think it runs in their DNA, because my girlfriend, she does a few paintings here and there, and I'm not going to show this on screen.
God, we've got props.
Look at this.
God, it is a landscape
of basically a church on a hill in the city, basically. So I say nothing more, and I hope she didn't overheard us.
Just something with the Luxembourgish landscape just really inspires the artitists from that land.
Apparently, there's some more abstract artists nowadays, but I don't know a single one of them. And the Luxembourgish do say they're better known for their sculpturing, which fair enough. Anyways, my vote: the Fighting Tremaire. I think it says something.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's a strong contender, and sorry Luxembourg, just not good enough really. Yeah.
Moving on next to two big hitters. I'll introduce both of them here because I didn't do it a second ago. It's the Water Lily Pond by Claude Monet, and specifically because his Water Lily series is 40 different paintings, huge Wikipedia entry, in because they have literally every single one of them there.
Yeah.
But this is the ones from the Orangerie, the really big, canvases, the 200 meter by 8 meter, masterpieces that are just hanging there and really envelope you. versus The Absinthe Drinker by Viktor Oliva, representing Czechia.
Okay, nice. Obviously, Waterloo Pond, very famous. I've seen versions of that in different galleries.
Have you been to the Orangery?
I have been, to the Orangery.
What do you think?
Yeah, it's pretty good. So, it's what you'd expect.
Yeah, I did feel like it does draw you in a bit. Like it do feel like when you enter, the atmosphere does change a bit, and it has that transcendental effect on you. I quite enjoyed that. It's a good.
Yeah, and I think as well that's another thing I like is a large painting. I like the ambition and the scale of a large painting, and like the idea that this took like months to do potentially, and there's there's a real kind of scope to it. So
do you know the story behind these? About the Water Lily series, the ones that are in the Orangery.
You'll have to tell me more.
Have you heard of Georges Clemenceau?
I have, of course, former Prime Minister of France.
Yes, lifelong friend of Claude Monet.
Okay.
Huge patron of his artwork. So around World War I time, Claude Monet had stopped painting, basically. He had like a free 4-year break. And Claude Monet came back to him and he's like, the war's going on. Art is such a big, important thing to the French culture. You have to paint. And Claude Monet at that time was like some 70-year-old man just living in his garden, just having, time of his life.
Yeah.
Developing cataracts too, by the way, which is why all his paintings turned a bit darker by this time.
Yes, that I did
which
know,
is kind of depressing. Anyways, he was eventually convinced to paint, and he produced by the end of the war, he produced 2 big paintings for Clemenceau. But Clemenceau was like, no, you're producing more. And he ended up, giving him basically an unlimited scope of what to do. And, Monet helped design the Orangery and produced 8 of these marvelous, huge canvases, which he grew so attached to, he actually didn't stop working on these until he basically died. And they were never removed from his house until he did die. And then they were displayed in there.
It's kind of like it turned into an obsession for him.
Yeah. Did you... And also, they were quite critically maligned when they released. Because what was seen, because he was Claude Monet, forefather of Impressionism. By the time he was creating these, people, the new wave, Picasso, the Cubanists, all the Surrealists, they really had the forefront there.
Yeah.
And then his thing, which used to be radical, was seen as old-fashioned now. So this kind of ignored until, the 50s or 60s. I think Pollock and his crowd kind of
Their kind of reevaluation. Yeah, I think that's a great thing about art. It's it has these cycles, and if you a revolutionary at 25, you're passé at 75.
Yeah.
It's just if you live long enough to kind of see these cycles turn, and but it is a beautiful painting, and it's a good story.
One final thing, it is a World War I memorial.
Okay.
Which most people don't realize, but as you kind of contemplate into it, people see you can kind of see the unbreaking waterline, and it kind of gives off the impression of what a French soldier must have seen in the trenches in World War I, and kind of the monotony and kind of tranquility of the scene is supposed to bring back memories of that.
Okay. See, this is why you need context, guys. This
is why I do my notes. I have 8 pages here now.
Yeah.
Anyways, Absinthe Drinker. Have you heard of this one?
I actually haven't heard of this one. No.
Victor Oliva.
Yeah.
Oliva, sorry.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, so you have a man sitting out on the street, or is it in a bar?
It's a Parisian cafe.
Okay, yeah. So he's in a cafe and sitting at a table by himself. He's looking, fairly knackered. He's got an open newspaper, and there's just I guess another patron in the background. But yeah, it's closing time, it seems. And there's the ghostly figure of a green woman who's perched on top of his table, seemingly in the nip.
It's have you heard of Absinthe?
Of course, I've had Absinthe.
Have you?
I have, yeah.
Did you go insane?
I did not go insane. No, I've had it a couple of times. It does feel like someone has just jammed a fireball down your throat. But I managed to keep my faculties.
Right. So back when Victor Oliva painted this painting, it was in 1901. It was the height of the absinthe craze across Europe.
The Green Fairy.
Yeah, so the absinthe, for people who don't know, it's some greenish looking drink.
Yeah.
And people used to think it was psychotropic. If you drank it, you'd slowly go insane and
straight from
ruin your life.
Yeah.
Most likely that was just alcoholism doing that to people. But anyways, and this is kind of a representation of a man seeing the green fairy from his absinthe, and in the background you can see the waiter kind of shocked at what's happening and going around.
Okay, so it's a waiter. Yeah. He's just.
I quite like this one.
Yeah, I do as well.
I have a soft spot for this one.
Yeah, because I feel like it's kind of a bit, kind of supernatural. But it's like it's supernatural, but also kind of modern. Like it's a different kind of take on like a ghostly painting.
Yeah.
The green is very striking.
But I also feel like it tackles like the subject of addiction kind of well, especially for the time it was made in.
Yeah.
Because you can kind of see like his gaze towards the green fairy or the green lady, right? And it's like, I don't want to be here with you, but I can't escape it. And the way she's looking at him, it's like, you're here with me.
Yeah, because like he's with her, but he's also like alone in that moment. Like he's at the table by himself, and even just the thing of having like on the right hand side, you see like the other like empty tables to kind of highlight the fact that like he's in a large cafe, and it might be empty, or it might be like middle of the day on a Wednesday or something. Yeah, and exactly. Yeah, he's all by himself. So no, it's very nicely done actually. Yeah.
I quite enjoyed this one. I was pleasantly surprised. However, do you think it compares up to the water lilies?
In this moment in time, yes. I haven't seen it before, so right now, just spur of the moment, I'm gonna give that my vote. But if you're focused on water lilies, then go ahead and I won't stop you.
I'm really tempted because I did really enjoy this painting. I just think that the water lilies I don't think we can let it go out in the first round.
Okay.
I think it just ran in. I think most other paintings would have probably succumbed to the absinthe drinker.
Yeah.
But I think here the water lily just has to go on.
You don't want all the art stands coming after you on Twitter.
No, but I do really think that the water lily pond, it is a magnificent experience. And for those who haven't seen it, Orangerie, I definitely would recommend take some time when you're in Paris, go there, get a good hour, sit around there. It's really worth it. Yeah.
No, we can send through the water lily pond. I don't have any objection to that. It's more like a 60-40 kind of thing for the absinthe drinker in that moment. But yes, as you can tell, again, it's the human paintings that I'm connecting to more.
Yeah. I'm realizing this might be a long podcast because there are a lot of fun facts I have for all of these.
You do too much research. That's the problem.
But it's kind of addicting at some point, because you don't want to miss something that's nice.
There's so much juicy information.
I know.
Yeah.
Anyways, next matchup. I have my first cheating moment. I included the Arnolfini portrait by Jan van Eyck. He's Belgian. He technically lived in Flanders when he lived, so I consider that a separate country.
No, yeah.
Because I wanted to include this one.
I'm glad you're voting far right then in the elections.
Well, fair enough. Either way, I think it's nice. I think it's we can have a great discussion about it. And it's against another heavyweight of ancient, artistry.
The Sistine Chapel of paintings, some would say. Yeah.
Well, it's a Sistine Chapel ceiling painting of paintings because it's like a fresco. For the list, by the way, I only included stuff that had paint on it, basically. Yeah. That's kind of where I tried to draw the line. So if it was like, a cool sculpture, that doesn't have paint on it, so I'm not including it. No. But a ceiling is included. So the Sistine Chapel ceiling by Michelangelo in the Vatican. Nice thing. Painted 1508 to 1512. Which one do you want to hear the cool facts about first? Or do you want to linger on discussing about one of them?
Hit me with the Arnolfini facts.
Are you familiar about the Arnolfini portrait?
Yeah, I've seen it. It's in Bruges, right? Am I imagining that? Or?
It was painted in Bruges.
It was painted in Bruges.
1434. Which is actually kind of impressive when you think about the style and how it was painted.
Yeah. It's ahead of its time.
And it's right now it's in the British Museum, as most things historical are.
Bastards. Okay.
Anyways, it's considered one of the most original and complex paintings in Western history.
Yeah, like even the use of the mirror.
Yeah. Because I think one of the things that people kind of don't realize is that this mirror shows the whole backside of what's happening in this painting. And I always thought that was super neat. Even back then, mirrors typically weren't this big. So there's kind of, a bit more speculation on the artist's side. When you see this painting, what do you think is happening?
Well, to me, it kind of looks like a marriage ceremony. Right. So you have like the man on the left, he's holding up his hand, his right hand, almost like he's like swearing an oath. Yeah. And his left hand is holding the right hand of the woman. who seems to be heavily pregnant, and they both seem to kind of wearing like, you know, their finest clothes, and well, yeah, black as well being expensive at the time for all the dye. So like, it's, you know, seems like maybe you'd wear your best clothes for this kind of ceremony, but I could be completely wrong.
Yeah, so it was historically considered to be a portrait of a marriage.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a few things, you know, they point out that kind of support that idea. If you zoom in here, one cool fact about this painting is that this here, it says Johannes van Eyck voit hier, which was Latin for Johannes van Eyck was here. Right in the middle of the painting is the signature, which is kind of badass. But people think that's him testifying that he was there when this painting was being taken place. So it's kind of, you know, like a testament of that marriage happening.
Yeah.
And if you look in the mirror, you can actually see, apologies for the blurry image, but you can see two other figures also witnessing the marriage.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of one of the fears. However, tell me about being pregnant when you get married. Is that not something that the ancients didn't like?
The ancients.
Because that was the whole controversy, because she looks pretty pregnant in this picture. And if this was a marriage portrait, why would a respectable noble family have a pregnant woman in there?
That is a good point, actually, yeah. Like, even if she was pregnant in reality, that they wouldn't have shown off the fact that she was. They could have just painted her as being not pregnant.
Yeah. And the other thing that screwed people is because there's historical records of Arnolfini, Giovanni Arnolfini, you know, an Italian, you know, not nobleman,
like a merchant.
Merchant, that's what I was looking for, living in Bruges. There's historical records of him existing. Two of them, actually. Two guys the same name. One got married 20 years after this painting was made. One got married a few years before this painting was made.
Okay.
But his wife died in 1433. So the theory that I've seen speculating around is that this might be a painting commemorating her death in childbirth, with her being pregnant. You
and
know,
he's wearing black then.
I think it's more of him, you know, making a commitment to, you know, always remember her, and this painting is there for that. But it's shrouded in a lot of mystery. Everything in this painting can be taken as a symbol. It's quite poetic.
That is pretty interesting. Yeah.
Anyways, Sistine Chapel ceiling. Have you seen this one?
I
I've
have
asked this a lot. I feel.
I feel like I've seen a few. I've seen a few in this list, and I've been to the Sistine Chapel. God, you know, when you go to the Vatican and then you go to like a mass at any point afterwards, and they're asking to collect money, scam, absolute scam. You just think you could sell off a couple of pieces here, now, lads, and pay to fix that leaky roof back in Cork, you know?
To be honest, the amount of random statues they have in that museum, just clogging up the aisles, it's just ridiculous.
They could do a great clear out, lads. Like, you know, a garage sale or something, like just out in St. Peter's Square, like, just have people milling around, and you'd have about 40 million in the bank by the end of the day. Yeah. I
enjoyed seeing it. I thought, like, standing in a room, it's because it's so high up, you know, it really does surround you. I thought the experience of getting there was not as enjoyable. Because I thought somehow, I don't know why I thought it was in St. Peter's Basilica.
Okay. Yeah,
and I was like, you know, that kind of makes sense for like such a historic painting. But this thing is like in some like random little church in the middle of nowhere, and you have to go through this whole maze to get there, and it kind of, you don't get to appreciate the scale of the architecture around it. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh damn, there it is.
It's a good point. Yeah, there's a lot of rooms you have to kind of go through before you actually get to that one.
Yeah,
but it's still spectacular. And is this the one where he painted one of his enemies as like a donkey?
It might be.
There's like a story like he painted something unflattering anywhere, like a snake or something like that.
Oh yes, he painted maybe there's a different painting I was thinking of. One of the paintings on this list, it might be here, has the Pope being attacked by a snake at his crotch.
Yeah, that sounds familiar to me.
I can't remember if it was here or elsewhere.
There's papal snake action somewhere in this list.
If you spot it, let us know.
There are no prizes, just to be clear. But amazing work.
So, this was Michelangelo's first ever painting.
Okay, so because he was a sculptor, right? Primarily, yeah. Jesus, what a way to kick off painting career, lads.
When he finished with this painting, he was dubbed as Il Divino, and was known for the rest of his life as the greatest artist of his time. Yeah,
I can see why.
Yeah.
I can see why. Like, it's pretty divine.
Yeah, and I think the funny part about this whole thing is there's this rumor that a rival sculptor actually told the Pope to get Michelangelo to do this because he's like, that guy's a sculptor. He could never paint anything good. He'll embarrass himself so badly, and I'll get all the credit.
Damn. And that was probably Shredder, right?
Shredder?
Yeah, from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I'm a man of culture. I look at paintings, not the screen.
Okay, I'm sure a lot of people appreciate that joke. It's not my fault that Simon grew up without televisions or
it went above my head.
Yeah.
I'm reaching there. Anyways, what are we moving on?
What are we moving on to? Sistine Chapel. I think
it does kind of deserve as well to move on a little bit.
I think if Van Eyck is unlucky that up against Sistine Chapel, because it is, for the time, it's hugely impressive. Like there are certain paintings when you see them, it's not just like the painting itself, it's also like when it was painted, you're like, wow, like that was 200 years ahead of its time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And it was even considered the Van Eyck one, the Arnolfini portrait. I think it was, some people call it the first double portrait with action in it.
Okay.
So normally it was always one person standing very solemnly with like no background things going on. This was the one that kind of upended that tradition, or one of the first ones that was recorded.
I didn't realize it was that old. I would have said like 1500s, so yeah.
No, I mean,
there you go.
1434.
Sistine Chapel it is. Yeah, we'll play one.
Older than the Sistine Chapel. Right. Anyways, moving on. The Persistence of Memory by Salvador Dali, representing Spain. I have two Spanish contenders because both my Spanish artists were not very well liked in Spain when they made these. So I consider, two halves make a whole, as the old saying goes.
Indeed.
And that's up against Rachenitsa by Ivan Mrkvicka from Bulgaria.
Okay, yeah. Well, one that's very famous, one that is less so outside of Bulgaria, at least. I don't want to speak for Bulgaria.
I do want to say there are a few, I don't want to call you smaller nations on here, where I had no idea what to go for, and I kind of went for the most famous artist, most acclaimed painting.
Yeah.
And Rachenitsa is kind of one. It depicts like a traditional Bulgarian dance. They're hopping around. It's some kind of line dance.
Yeah, kind of Cossack vibes as well. So it seems to be like in a tavern of some kind, or could be like maybe like a barracks or something as well. Like there's a lot of dudes sitting around. Looks like it could be like a military uniform, and they could be kind of clocked off for the day. And you got two lads in the middle. So you got one lad who's kind of standing up and getting a little bit of a kickball change going on, and then the other lad is squatting down, clearly like mid motion, and it's only like a handkerchief over his head. It's perfectly capturing the action of the moment.
Yeah, it's a nice piece. I think if I knew what the Rachenitsa was, I'd be like, yeah, look at that.
True, yeah. It reminds you of Jan Steen, his work. The Dutch artist from like 1600s, 1700s, and a lot of paintings like ordinary people doing things like dancing and making merry and stuff. So there's a lot of warmth there in the painting, and especially if people like after a hard day's work or after a battle or something. The contrast with this, maybe they're celebrating a glorious victory.
I assume this would appeal to your Irish sensibilities.
Exactly, yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Anyways, as a man of culture, though, as I'm going to keep saying for this episode,
yes,
the persistence of memory appeals to my, existential leanings.
Your ennui. Your ennui.
Yeah, I guess so.
Your sense of mortality.
Yeah, a little bit, because this whole painting was built around Salvador Dali's like obsession about dreams and everything that happened in dreams and stuff like that. And the clocks, the melting clocks, iconic images. I think he used them in paintings from here on out. That's kind of like his stamp of approval. He was a bit of a sellout, so
that is true.
But very paranoid painting about his own status in life. How time is perceived. How it slips by you. What dreams really mean.
The clock is ticking on him like as an artist, and in this kind of classic Dali like setting of like the desert and barren kind of a landscape.
It was, I think, the view from one of his houses in Spain, I believe.
Okay, yeah. So it looks like we did the beach as well, yeah.
Another fun fact, this thing is tiny. It's about 33 by 22 centimeters, so about like the size of a piece of paper.
Oh, okay.
Which is somewhat surprising.
Again, some of these paintings, like I might have actually seen this painting, I just don't recall.
It's in America somewhere. I think at MoMA or.
Okay, yeah. So maybe I haven't seen it. Maybe maybe I just imagined like Dali imagined these melting clocks.
Yeah, but I really enjoy kind of the reflection it makes you do. That's my vote to go forward.
I think I'm happy to go for that. Yeah. So. Yeah. Again, I like Rachenitsa. I like the kind of story. behind it, but yeah, I think Persistence of Memory is a classic of the genre.
Yeah. Well, let's move on to two more, romantic paintings. Mm-hmm. I think they're both from the romantic genre.
Pretty romantic looking, yeah.
Yeah. So we have Une Fleur by Vlaho Bukovac from Croatia.
Yeah.
Who painted this at the height of his French period in Paris and was sold in France. So now Croatian it is, but
it's very French looking.
Yeah. I mean, he's considered the more famous Croatian artist. I think it worked nicely. Mm-hmm. And that's against Wanderer Above the Sea of Fog by Caspar David Friedrich from Germany.
Yeah, it's truly a famous painting. Yeah. I was quite familiar with the Friedrich painting. That is, like a perfect encapsulation of the romantic ideology, like man, like conquering nature, and being, master of his domain. Maybe a splash of colonialism mixed in, but like still like a very powerful image. Yeah, he actually had a great quote, which. Spoilers, I prefer over the painting. I'm not a big fan of the painting. But he said, the painter should paint not only what is in front of him, but also what he sees inside himself. If he sees nothing within, then he should stop painting what is in front of him. That was a good quote, yeah.
And it kind of does, I think that speaks a lot about even what he's trying to capture with the... it's quite a majestic scene, like you were saying, man above nature.
Yeah.
But it also, like the backwards view of the person, which was something that he did a lot in his paintings. It does kind of make you feel the emotions through it a bit more. Yeah,
it's like an updated version of like the classic landscape, where like the person is like tiny in the forefront, so you can understand the scale and the grandeur of the landscape. Whereas in this, the person in the foreground is very large, and has this like overlooking view of the landscape. So like that he's the one. Yeah. Who's like in charge, so to speak, rather than being dwarfed by this like giant, forest or a giant mountain range or whatever.
What I don't like about this one, it seems too, comical almost. I can't take it very seriously. It seems like it's made to be on the cover of a book, which is where it ended up in the 70s on so many, like Nietzsche books and stuff like that. Of old German philosophy. It's such a stereotypical cover image, and it's, I don't know. I just can't. I just don't really. I get that it looks nice, but I feel like any decent cover artist in the 20th century would have, or 21st century would have also made something like this.
You feel like this is just like someone's like Instagram post, like they come back from holidays,
yeah,
they go on one hike and then they post this.
Yeah. I'm just not too sold on it. I just can't separate it from my old Nietzsche book.
That's absolutely fine. So we can park that and move on to.
Une Fleur?
Bukovac. Yeah. Vlaho.
Tell me about
him. So he had a French period, which is when he painted Une Fleur, a flower. As you might have guessed. Actually not familiar with him. But it's a lovely painting. Yeah, it's kind of, it kind of looks like a green like filter that's been put on it, and you have like a woman in the woods, and she's sitting / lying back on this rock. She's like reclined, I would say, and she has like this kind of taffeta organza kind of draped around her midriff. It's and then some flowers next to her. But other than the tastefully placed organza, she is again in the nip.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a whole symbolism for sexual awakening and desire, and there's a lot of symbolism going on around that. I think it's fine. It was sold for £100,000 in 2006.
Okay.
Would you pay that for that painting?
I wouldn't know.
Okay.
I think that whole market paying millions for paintings is a bit ridiculous in my opinion.
I was gonna mention that to you.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a good use of money if you had the millions rolling around?
No, definitely not. Just buy a replica of it, like it's fine.
I would do it though.
No.
It's a one of one thing.
I wouldn't need to own the real thing. I mean enjoying the painting because it's the content. It's not like it has to be the actual painting for me to enjoy it.
Right.
Yeah.
I just feel like paintings are almost the ultimate collector's piece. Whereas there are multiple versions of certain paintings, and a few in this list have multiple versions. But at the end of the day, it's such a unique piece that you choose to display somewhere.
Yeah, I can.
Anyways,
Yeah,
what are we moving
that.
on? I'm not too sold on either or of these.
Yeah, like
I'll leave this one up to you.
We can send a wanderer through.
Okay,
yeah. It's not going to get much further based off Simon's comments. This is going to be a 2-hour podcast because Simon's just going to roast every painting.
I've been reasonably nice to most of them.
You're right, though. This is an area where we diverge quite a bit. So,
yeah.
But that's good, you know. These podcasts only do well when there's conflict. So yeah.
But we're both still sitting here by the end.
I've not been pushed to the window.
Do our job.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on. Again, we always have the Lithuania versus Latvia matchup.
Baltic
And
buddies.
it's happened several times to us.
Yeah.
Anyways, let me find my notes. So the big painting here is called Rex. It's by Michelangelo Konstantinos Ciurlionis.
I would go Michelangelo Konstantinos Ciurlionis.
Anyways, you go by MK Ciurlionis most of the time.
MKC.
There we go. He's a Lithuanian painter. You know, one of the first people to really kick off, I believe it was the abstract movement. Yeah. And this big painting is kind of like a conception of, you know, how gods kind of view the world. It's a portrait of the ruler of the world, because you can kind of see the earth down here, you know, connecting up into like the heavens above. And you can see the interplay between darkness, light. Apparently there's different religious ideologies in there as well.
Okay.
It's quite...
It kind of looks like a giant gong.
Yeah.
As well.
It's huge too in real life.
Nice.
It's a big painting.
Yeah.
But yeah. My fun fact about him is he was also a composer, and he felt like he was a synthete, which means that he perceived colors and music simultaneously.
Oh, okay, interesting. Like kind of synthesizer, right?
Yeah,
Synesthesia. Okay, yeah.
I always thought that was BS. I remember distinctly in like in 10th grade science class, and some girl beside me, or it was a French class, some girl beside me was like, "Oh yeah, when I hear of a color, I think of like a taste," and I'm like,
You're just like attention seeker.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I've just always had it in me. I never.
You're like, God, Lauren, nobody cares, okay?
Yeah. Well. Anyway, speaking about attention seekers, maybe I shouldn't say that about Mark Rothko, the famous Latvian artist. Latvian, I will stress. Yeah. He was born in Latvia.
Marko Rotkovitz.
Yes.
Yeah.
He went by. It was actually. Where did I have his full name? I had his Markus Rotkovich.
Yeah. There we go.
Anyways.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was Latvian. Rothko, I know it's kind of like German to me, and I kind of presumed he was just like an American. Yeah. Born and bred.
I mean, I was really struggling on the Latvian front.
That's fair.
I didn't want to talk about Rothko, so I thought it was
I don't like Rothko personally.
I think it says something. Apparently, the screen doesn't do it justice. You have to. What they say is you have to really stand up front, let yourself become enveloped in the colors, movements of the
You're
brush.
not the first person to do this to me. You're not even the first Canadian to tell me this about a Rothko painting. Be like, yeah, you got to be in the room, man, and it's so big, and look. Yeah, if you don't know what it looks like, it's called violet, green, and red because that's what it is. Half it's violet, there's a strip of green, and it's red at the bottom. And yeah, doesn't do it for me.
I think there's a lot of balance in this.
Oh, Jesus.
I think it catches your attention much more. I mean, I like Rex as well.
Yeah.
Mainly because of this, the large name of the artist and the small name of the painting, which really balances out on my screen.
Yeah, contrast is key.
Yeah. But I feel like it brings a bit more light. And this painting was sold for 140 million euros in 2014.
I know Rothko paints sold for a crazy amount. I just look at someone who's testing out paints on their wall to see who goes to the room. That's all I'm getting from it. Like there's just nothing to it. Just leaves me so cold. Now, one day I might see a Rothko in person and be converted, like you know, St. Paul going to Damascus. But right now, I'm just not feeling it. So I think this might be a rock paper scissors kind of job.
Yeah, a Rothko paper scissors kind of job. Let's get into this.
That's good. So rock paper scissors shoot.
Yeah.
So rock paper scissors shoot. Scissors beats paper.
Rex moves on.
Slices right through that Rothko crap.
I mean, I'm not.
If you're a mug who pays 140 million quid, then you know Sotheby's has absolutely swindled you, or Christie's, or whoever it was.
I think it was Christie's, but Yeah, I didn't put that in my notes. Apparently it was sold again this year, a few months ago.
Oh,
to
God.
Kenneth Griffin, the American bank guy.
Sure.
I think he owns a sports team as well.
Well, the greater fool theory, they call it, you know?
Yeah.
There's always a bigger idiot waiting to buy your stuff off you. Yeah.
I think it'd be nice to have one of these things just hanging around.
Sure, but I wouldn't pay 140 million quid for it, so...
I mean, I couldn't either, but...
Which being Microsoft job, like, yeah.
Well, speaking about... I don't know what I'm going to transition to. It's like, I don't know, either of these are
Podcasting is hard, guys, okay?
So next up, the Adoration of the Magi, one of the 20 paintings of the same name, but this one is by Domingos Sequeira from Portugal.
Okay, nice.
And it's against the ancient Greek vase paintings by Ezekias of Greece.
Of course, yeah, I love his work, yeah.
I will say, name me a single modern Greek artist.
Vangelis.
I cannot confirm or deny, but all I know is
That is a musician, though.
when I was researching this, I could not find a single.
They
Greek painting.
just gave up painting in 100 BC, and they're like, that's fine, lads.
Yeah, I couldn't
That's fine.
find a single notable one, so I was like, I'm going back to vase paintings because I think Ezekiel's work is top notch.
Yeah, guys, if you want to write in with your favorite paintings from your country, feel free, because we don't know everything. We're just from a couple of countries. But yeah, let's.
I'm barely even European.
Yeah, it's fine. So the ancient Greek vase painting. So this picks we got a battle going on between two individuals, both with their shields and their spears. And yeah, it's just the fact that people were doing this kind of stuff and it's survived up to now. That's kind of
only 12 of them survived, made by Ezekias, because he actually
Wow.
signed these himself. There's a few in a few museums. What I've realized is what to look out for now when I go to museums, because I did not know there were only 12 of them by Ezekias.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
he's got a brand. Yeah,
He's known for that, black on, beige pot kind of style, very dynamic images.
yeah.
I think it speaks of it.
Yeah. No, I like it a lot. Yeah, and I think it's and it's rare for us to know the work of an individual from
Yeah.
that time of a craftsperson.
Yeah, true. Well, I mean, Domingos Sequeira would also like to be known a bit more.
Domingos would, but it's a fairly standard Jesus painting.
I don't know. I think the lighting on this one is immense.
It
The way that
is
just
very good
kinda
lighting.
Bulbs out. It's
Yeah.
The way he got that effect, I think, is really nice. You could kind of see it cascading onto all the people around him.
Yeah, no. We'll give it to Domingos. He did a very good job with the light and interesting. Yeah, it kind of turns into a big crowd scene for the adoration instead of just being Jesus, Mary, Joseph, and the shepherds and the wise men. It's kind of it's like everyone in town has been invited to go check out the baby Jesus.
I will say the crowd scene terminology used is very apt because this painting was crowdfunded back to the Portuguese National Museum.
Segue.
The price of 600,000 euros.
Podcasting is easy, lads. Segue. Always there. Always
But
there.
it's kind of neat, a whole
that's cool.
Portuguese people came together, bought this painting back. The other neat fact I have about this one is that it wasn't commissioned. He just decided to paint this, and then when he finished painting it, he sent it to his buddies in Rome to be like, look what a real painting looks like. Kind of gloat about it. Which
Parliament own initiative report. You're like, okay, I gotta get the ball moving here now, guys.
I think is kind of badass. Okay. I'm leaning Ezekias.
Same.
I don't think he'll go too far.
No.
But I think for the legacy, I mean,
Especially
like you
when
were saying...
when I see what's below, I don't think Ezekias is going to be... I think he might be in a bit of trouble. So...
Yeah.
But he... 2,500 years later, he's getting mentioned in this podcast.
Yeah, he
Will any of us be mentioned in 2,500 years? Will this podcast be mentioned in 2,500 years? I doubt it.
Yeah. We'll see.
It's
a work of art, Have you not seen the lighting that comes down, cascading off?
It's stunning. It is stunning.
You might not see, but there's a beautiful plant in the background,
Like a cropped.
That's what I told my partner as well. Anyways, moving on to the final two on this side of the bracket. We're taking quite some time to get through this, but it's been a nice exploration. It's Guernica by Pablo Picasso,
Yeah.
a famous Spanish painter. My French colleague thought he was French, which I thought was almost insulting, but it's a very French attitude.
Jesus, that's crazy.
But he did do most of his work in Paris.
Yeah, of course.
He didn't ever go back to Spain since, I think, 1934.
Yeah, no, he is very associated with France as well, which is he is the Spanish painter. Sorry to delay, but yeah.
I have a bunch of little things to say about that one, but the other painting it's up against is The Sower by Ivan Grohar from Slovenia, which I actually think is quite a nice composition.
It is, yeah. So that one, yeah, I haven't seen it before, but yeah, it reminds me of like a Seurat painting or like Pissarro, you know, like kind of the French Impressionists and
yes, that style.
Yeah. So like, and again, like the working person being captured. Or like Van Gogh, like the like potato eaters or something, where it's like like the farmer folk, and man doing this kind of humble job and being shown kind of like a dignified kind of way. He's not like downtrodden in this painting, which I like. So we can't see his face, but like his stride is quite confident, I feel.
Yeah, working leg,
Yeah.
It's supposed to symbolize, it's a metaphor of the Slovenian people, the vigorous of the nation, with an unclear destiny moving forward.
And what will they reap in the end? Yeah.
Well, what this coin reaped in the end what this painting reaped in the end was a place on the Slovenian euro coin.
Oh,
so
there we go.
Check your change. You might see this one there.
Okay, did not know that. So yeah, I'll be keeping an eye out, lads. Who has cash these days? I don't know, but I'll
be honest. I have not used cash in literally a year.
But yeah, Guernica.
Yeah.
The painting I definitely have seen.
Have you?
Yeah. So that's
I have not. So
that's in the Reina Sofia Gallery in Madrid. Yeah, it's obviously the most famous painting there. And again, scale is important. It's very large painting. And what's interesting too is on the opposite wall, they have a series of photos taken by Picasso's wife at the time.
Muse, not Mary.
Oh, apologies. I was being very heteronormative there. Lover, Picasso's lover, took the photos.
Muse is what she preferred.
Muse. Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
This is what the podcast will be 4 hours. And but it's really interesting because like this is like one of the few like great paintings of history where we could actually document the whole process via photography. And you can see like the changes that Picasso made along the way, which we only start to see now with like earlier paintings because we have like the X-ray technology. But with like Guernica, you can see he's removed this person, he's changed like the composition of this character, and then like he's added this person like at the very end of the process. So like the artist doesn't just come in with like a fixed idea, like they respond to different factors and how different objects and people in the painting like relate to each other, and so it was a really good like insight into it. And obviously it's like it's an amazing painting too, like very arresting, I would say.
Yeah. And I think to those who aren't aware, it's made in response to the 1937 bombing of Guernica by the German army as well as the Italian fascists at the request of the Spanish
phalangists.
Sorry?
The phalangists.
Yes, I'm not going to get that one wrong because I was gonna. I'm just double checking my words here.
Yeah.
But apparently, I think 1,600 civilians were killed in that, and Picasso had been commissioned to do a painting for Spain there, and he didn't know what to do, and this shocked him so much into action that he created this piece, which then toured around Europe, America to get some cash for like the independence movements and stuff.
Yeah, and I think like this is a perfect example of why abstract painting became a thing in that period, where like these shocking events were happening, and like warfare was being conducted in such a different way. This like it's like kind of bombing from a distance, this kind of depersonalization even of kind of war, and like this idea that like the normal rules of engagement kind of no longer existed, and like the rules of society kind of breaking down. And then like that's why you need this kind of response, which is abstract, but in a way also makes it feel like more kind of real and kind of brutal, and expresses like the actual turmoil and confusion of the event.
And I think another thing they always say about is that it's about Guernica, but the events there, but it can be used universally. There's nothing really that ties it to that specific place. Yeah. There's no real, there's no Guernica in the background or something like that.
Like a Hollywood sign. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But and that's why it's become more of a like international symbol for, protest for peace.
Yeah, like it could be Palestine, it could be Ukraine, it could be Sudan. Yeah, it's true.
But it couldn't be Iraq. Apparently, to finish this story.
Here we go.
There's a copy of this, life-size copy, or like a full-size copy that hangs in the UN headquarters by the Security Council. And when they were voting on the 2003 war to invade Iraq, they covered it with a blanket or something so that...
Wow.
Yeah.
Power of art, lads. Power of art. So, yeah. Well, look, if it's that powerful it could influence the UN Security Council vote, then I think it has to go through. I'm sorry to the grower. That actually is a nice painting.
The
sower by Grower. I combined the two there. He's a grower, not a sower.
Oh, oops.
But yeah, no, Gallen-Kallela is an amazing painting. Yeah, I'd recommend Reina Sofia. And yeah, Madrid, yeah, it's one of the best cities in the world, I think, for galleries, actually, because, yeah, with the Museo Thyssen and the Prado as well, you have like an amazing selection there.
Yeah, I've not been to Madrid yet, and I think it's on my list to kind of go in the near future, I hope.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that definitely crossed my path now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have a few more little anecdotes about Guernica as we go through the next half of the bracket. So
Excellent.
Another hour on your list. Anyways, next up is The Scream by Edvard Munch from Norway. Should I say the year? Probably should. 1893.
I was just going to say it, yeah.
But there are multiple versions of this painting. There are four that he painted. Some of these were with crayon. Not crayon, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, like colored pencil?
Yeah, which is technically not a painting by my definition, which is why but there are watercolor versions, so whatever.
Yeah.
And it's against the Midwinter Blot by Carl Larsson, Swedish. 1915.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, The Scream. I actually saw a Munch exhibition a few months ago when I was in Berlin, and
did it give you a good fright?
It did.
Let out a good little scream?
A very like dark man in a lot of ways. There was like paintings that he did which were supposed to go into like a kid's bedroom. He got a commission,
right?
And they looked at the paintings and like, dude, we can't put this in a kid's bedroom. They're like way too fucked up. It was funny reading the description where I was like, wait, this is why he was like thought would be appropriate for a kid's bedroom. And The Scream kind of fits in with that kind of vibe, like this.
About controversial paintings, though. Keep that in mind as we go to the next one.
Okay,
but go ahead
noted.
If you're Scream about The Scream.
Yeah, and The Scream, it's one of the most iconic paintings in the world. You have like the character on the bridge, this kind of ghostly figure, arms against or hands Macaulay Culkin style, and this O-shaped scream into the distance, and the sky is like on fire, and it can be applied to so many different situations.
Like when the volcano Krakatoa erupts and turns the sky into fiery red.
For example.
Which is what he would have seen 10 years prior to painting this painting.
Okay. See? The notes, man. The notes of everything.
I thought it was a neat little detail.
That is a good detail, yeah.
That's what people theorize. It was taking those memories there.
That's the inspiration for it, yeah. But with climate change too, like you can kind of see like this...
I was going to say he wasn't suffering from that. I guess maybe. But
No, this is like more one-off climate change.
Here's a question that some people ask. Is he screaming or is nature screaming? The little figure. Because there's some debate about that.
Is it a representation of nature or the artist, you mean?
Because the way Edvard Munch tends to speak about it, like there's a few quotes about him having conceptualized ideas that he heard a scream in nature.
Yes.
And that pierced the sky while he was on a walk. Or kind of in his mind he heard that.
So is he screaming or is he blocking his ears?
Or is he hearing a scream, right?
Yeah. So like, is he reacting to the scream or is he actually producing a scream himself? Like for me, it's always been that he's producing a scream, but now that you say it, it could also just be like somebody like really surprised hearing a scream. So you've given me a new take on that painting. Thank you.
Yeah.
So Midwinter Blot.
Well, speaking about takes first, this painting was stolen twice. There were 4 versions and they were collectively stolen twice.
So each painting was stolen a half a time.
Yes. In theory. But we could leave that for the second round of stuff to discuss. But
I think so, yeah.
Maybe we'll leave it to that. Also, painting sold $120 million.
Yeah, it's fucking better than Rothko anyway, that's for sure.
So. Well, you wouldn't pay that for this? I personally wouldn't, actually.
Okay.
I think it's a decent painting, but the fact there's 4 of them, kind of the values of it.
30 million for each, that's take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it, yeah. And I didn't realize how iconic this was until my later years. I just thought it was a child's drawing a little bit. And I think that's a bit rude towards Edvard Munch, but I'm sure he's already dead of depression, so... Okay, yeah. Anyways, controversial paintings, Midwinter Blot. Have you heard of this one?
I haven't, no. My Swedish friend Alex, he did recommend some other artists to me, but But by the time I was kind of speaking to you, I was like, it's too late, unfortunately.
Yeah, we tend to ignore his recommendations.
Yeah.
We've done that before.
But yeah, there's some other good Swedish painters, of course, like
This
Zorn
is
and
dubbed the
Klimt.
most controversial painting in Sweden.
Oh, in Sweden, I think I was saying the world. But
Depends on how.
yeah, so
important
you seem
think
to have
Sweden is.
some kind of like ceremony going on here in midwinter, I would guess, and be attended by like a bunch of like soldiers. You got a naked fella. Is it an execution? Is this
It's a sacrifice.
Being sacrificed?
The title is Midwinter Sacrifice.
Oh,
So-
blood to sacrifice. Okay.
Yeah. So this is based on a legend from the time, a Norse legend where King Domald was his name.
Yeah.
So he had these people, and they were going under a famine. So what do you do when a famine comes?
You obviously implement crop rotation.
No, first you kill off some oxen as a sacrifice.
Oh, that makes more sense.
So
actually,
first winter they do that. Didn't work. What do you do second winter?
yeah. You strike up good trade relations with your neighbors to import food.
Unfortunately, they didn't think that far. They started killing off some men.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's fair.
So
yeah.
second winter, that doesn't work either.
Oh no, that's not good.
What'd you escalate to in the third winter?
Killing dogs. Is that worse? That's worse.
Well, you killed the king. And that's what this painting is of the king being executed as a sacrifice to solve the famine.
For his poor leadership.
No, because they thought it was a good sacrifice to do.
I guess it's the best
They're
level of
they're like,
sacrifice.
if the oxen don't work, if the men don't work, the king must do it.
we're giving you the premium tier sacrifice here. We started off low. You're a tough negotiator,
Yeah.
but then we're going all the way to the king.
Anyways, that's not the real controversy of the painting. So Carl Larsson was the most famous painter in Sweden at the time.
Yeah.
But he was more known for like his, Thomas Kincaid, domestic lifestyle, little cutesy little paintings. This is a massive thing. It's supposed to be like above. He was commissioned to be above the staircase in the Natural History Museum in Sweden. However, when he first drew this up, presented his initial sketches, some little guy on the side wrote a strongly worded letter as a concerned archaeologist that this painting was not historically accurate.
And was he correct?
Allegedly, he said that the objects and stuff he used range from a different scale of like 0 to 2,000 years off from where they should be.
Okay, right. So yeah, he was just picking them on aesthetics.
And he is like, that is not correct enough to be hung in a museum of natural history.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. If you got a lot of like history nerds like going to that museum, they probably would be annoyed. Yeah.
And then the committee was like, actually, this is depicting the sacrifice of a king. It's a bit, maybe a little bit on the edge.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, we're not going to take it now. And
Okay.
Carl Larsson was like, I'm not going to take this. I'm painting this painting. You're going to accept it.
He just runs upstairs with his easel.
But he finished this on his own time. And in his lifetime, it was never displayed in the Museum of Natural History. Eventually, it was displayed in a different museum. It was bought up by a private collector. It was shown somewhere, and people were like, actually, in the 90s, this isn't that bad. Let's buy it back and hang it in the museum.
Oh,
It was a
that's
huge
an
controversy.
interesting story.
But it really got to Larsson. Like, he really struggled with that because, imagine being the most famous artist pouring your life's work into this masterpiece, which he considered his best painting. Full of, history, meaning.
Yeah, like if you're used to painting like just like domestic scenes, like Norman Rockwell stuff, like this is an upgrade.
Yeah.
In terms of content, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's quite like a basic composition. Like it's very like 2D. I don't know. I think like the scream is more interesting to me.
Yeah, and I'm quite interested in hearing about the theft stories too, so I'm going to move that on.
Simon's quite interested to hear what he has to say later.
I'm a great old storyteller.
He's a dream weaver.
Okay, moving on. The Death of the Dragoo by Giuseppe Calli of Malta.
Okay.
Heard of him? Yeah. 1867 painting.
No.
The most famous painter in Malta. You go into any church in Malta,
There's a Calli.
Yeah, he produced like 2,000 paintings in his lifetime. The man was crazy.
Oh, he's like the great Calli.
But this was the best, they say.
Okay, that is Dragoot, yeah. Tough
Anyway.
opposition.
Yeah. Night Watch is the opposition. Rembrandt van Rijn, the master of the Netherlands.
Leiden's finest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
could say so.
Exactly.
There's two people who studied there.
Yeah.
Are you okay with this being a Dutch nomination? Because I realize there's a lot of good Dutch artists, and I might be biased towards the Dutch. But, you know.
No, it's true. It's true. Like you have Van Gogh, you have Mondrian as well.
Mondrian, I really enjoy Mondrian.
Yeah, Vermeer.
You
Stein.
have de Kooning, if you like the more modern stuff, which you probably don't. You have Rubens.
Yeah,
if you don't consider him Flemish, which you could, I suppose. Yeah,
yeah. There's a lot of great choices. Yeah, you really you can't go wrong with Dutch and paintings, especially from this era.
To me, though, the Night Watch is just a masterpiece. I think it's If you've seen it in person, I assume you have. It takes up the whole room. The way they built the building around it, where it just leads into that corridor.
It is beautiful.
Experience.
It's actually a bit like Washington crossing the Rubicon. If you go to New York into the Met as well, it leads in the same way. And you have like the door frame, and it's just like perfectly framed in that moment. And yeah, the use of light and the uniqueness of each person. It's a bit like the anatomy school painting as well in that regard.
I'm gonna zoom in.
So the level of detail is stunning, and Rembrandt, good at painting.
Have you seen this face here?
Who's that supposed to be?
Does it remind you of a certain famous painter? Apparently, that's supposed to be Rembrandt himself.
Oh, it's supposed to be himself. Okay, right, interesting.
I'm pretty sure that's him, but I think it's supposed to have snuck him in there.
That is pretty common though when painters,
I believe it's this one or one off the side, but I'm pretty sure it's that one.
Okay, yeah, nice.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah. Okay, then the death of Dragou or Dragut.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So what's kind of funny about this one is it's painted during when the Turks went to take over Malta.
Yeah.
During the battle, this is actually the Turkish Commander Dragou being shot in the middle, and it's kind of funny to make a painting of that. I find if you went.
Yeah. Like presumably that was like the enemy, so to speak.
Yeah.
But it's kind of giving him like a heroic death in the arms of his lieutenant or whatever. But it's quite well done. Yeah, you have like the smoke in the background, the chaos being represented, and like the commander's tent as well. So like it kind of sets the scene pretty nicely.
Yeah, and also speaking of the enemy, this painting was bought by the British.
Well, they did colonize Malta.
Yeah, which was a bit controversial at the time. Because of the Maltese stuff. Because this whole painting is depicting them fighting off foreigners.
Yeah.
And then it got, bought by the British and...
Different foreigners, yeah.
Anyways, it's now back in Malta.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good, yeah. Look, I'm sorry to Cali, I'm sorry to the fine people of Malta, but...
yes.
The Night Watch is what it is. It's iconic.
It's one to watch.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. We have The Treachery of Images by René Magritte. The famous Brussels painter. He walked the streets below us at one point in time.
Indeed he did, yeah. And I did not know that this was the name of the painting.
Yeah, to those who are listening along, it's Ceci n'est pas une pipe.
Yeah.
This is not a pipe.
Exactly, yeah. But it is a painting of a pipe. It's like semiotics 101, lads. It's crazy.
But I do like the contradiction he puts there. Because he himself says, this is obviously not a painting of a pipe because I can't light it like a pipe. Do you trust the image of the paint? Of the picture, or do you trust the words?
Yeah, exactly. Like it's perfect representation, but it can only ever be representation.
So what do you think? Is it a pipe? Or is it a painting? Or is it not a pipe?
I think it is not a pipe.
Okay.
It's just it's just a series of brush strokes and colours that resemble a pipe, but it's not the same thing.
How boring is what I would say. No creativity.
Look, I was bad at art in school, and I like art, but I just don't have an artist's brain, clearly.
Yeah. There's a street in Brussels called Ceci n'est pas une rue.
I didn't know that.
I didn't either. I saw it on Wikipedia.
Okay, well, we gotta go find it.
But I think that can't make Belgian architecture any more confusing. So. But yeah, beyond that, that's about it. Michel Foucault wrote a book-long analysis of this painting, which I assume is going to be the most boring thing they ever got through.
Yeah, Jesus, yeah, I did a bit of Foucault in college. That was rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, it's philosophers that like to kind of wank off over that painting, and You know what? Yeah.
I think that Mrkvicka was laughing to his grave of this because I think it created so much controversy, and every time I would just be laughing at it too.
Yeah, because there's no right answer. Like it's
And he was probably the patron saint of hip young female students with their tote bags. Because this is
it's a good point actually. Yeah, it's a classic choice. Like
it is a very classic image on an item thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of an image you won't see in many items, the Danse Macabre by Berns Notka of the Estonian nationality.
Okay, yeah, it's
from the late 15th century.
It's a lot, guys. It's very medieval. Dancing with Death. So you have kind of some royal figures.
Yeah, it's
alternated with dancing skeletons.
It's the Pope, it's the Emperor, it's the Empress, it's the King. It's all of them in a line.
Okay, all the big hitters. You'd sacrifice these guys last. That's what I'd say.
The whole point of because the Danse Macabre was a pretty popular thing during medieval Europe, where it was kind of showing that nobody from the Pope to the most common labor is above the escape of death, and that's kind of what it symbolizes.
Like memento mori.
Yeah, kind of like that. So it's kind of speaking towards that feeling that people should have. This used to be bigger. Because right now, this painting is quite big. It's like this chunk is 7.5 meters long.
Okay, that's pretty long, yeah.
It has 13 people on there. The original allegedly had 50 people on it.
Wow, it was just like a tapestry then.
Yeah,
just basically kept on going.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's pretty neat. I enjoy it.
Yeah. No, I like it too. Yeah, it's very medieval in its sensibility. Like, it's very different from Mrkvicka, but I think my preference would be for Mrkvicka. Just... kind of the mind-bending nature of it.
I wouldn't have minded if you had a strong opinion for Danse Macabre. But
yeah, I think like that's one of the few paintings where I'm not in it for the artistic quality because it's a very basic painting, but it's just like the way that he's completely turned art in its head by highlighting the representative nature of it.
I guess, but I still feel like this is the wrong medium to do it.
Okay.
I think you're tying it too much to a certain there's words on it. Come on, I can't read French. And it's like at least put in a Dutch underneath.
What the hell is le grill?
Moving onwards, another little matchup. It's Meeting on the Turret Stairs by Frederick William Burton of Ireland, pinned in the 1800s. Mm-hmm. Going up against Black Summer '74, which is not a rock album. It's a painting, a very somber one by Telemachus Komphos of Cyprus.
Okay. Well, of course, the Irish one that is one I'm familiar with and one that I recommended when someone was scatty around. There's a few famous Irish artists like Louis Brockie and you can say Francis Bacon. But for me, this is my favorite Irish painting. You could have Yeats as well, but this was also voted Ireland's favorite painting. So I'm a basic bitch. In 2012 they had a contest and celebrities defending each famous painting. But this one won. So people who don't know, it's Germanic. It's Hellelil and Hildebrandt are the characters from Germanic mythology. So you have the knight and the damsel, we'll say. Meeting on the turret stairs, funnily enough, and she is going up the stairs, he is going down. She's looking away, but she's left her arm dangling behind her, and he is giving her arm sweet smooches.
I thought it was a big sniff. Sorry, go on.
That's disgusting. It could be a sniff, could be a smooch, could be in between, it could be a snooch. But either way, it's this kind of this moment of longing, and for me the idea that he's about to go off and I don't know, fight a dragon or something, and potentially not come back, and this is the lingering goodbye. She doesn't want to even look at him because she's so upset that he has to go, but then he's having this one long last kiss / sniff.
Do you know the legend behind this?
I don't know.
Okay, so apparently Hildebrand, the guy, was quite attractive because Hillelil, sorry. Yeah. Oh, Irish names, No. Anyways, she fell in love with him, which was not allowed by her father because, he was her personal guard. Not allowed.
Oh, God. So, it's like Kevin Costner when he used it all over again.
It's one of those things. So this was... Her father was well, me and my 7 sons are going to go kill him now.
Oh.
And this is him going by to like,
to his death.
Basically, yes.
Oh, wow, okay. Well, I didn't know that. So that actually adds even more weight than what I was saying.
But it gets worse.
Oh, how?
I was wondering that too, because I wasn't aware of the full legend here. Anyways, he goes down to the father and the 7 brothers, and he does fight pretty well. He kills the father, he kills 6 of the brothers, and he's about to kill the 7th. And Hellelil, watching behind, seeing him about to, plunge his sword into her youngest brother, is like, Hildebrand, no! And he pauses, and the 7th son kills him.
Yeah. Impossible choice there for Hellelil, I gotta say. It's tough.
She dies of sorrow a few days later, as the legend has it.
Yeah, typical. Typical. Okay, that's a good story to go with it. Yeah.
I didn't realize either. Apparently, the other cool, not so cool fact, it's only viewable for 1 hour a day. That's a bit of a scam, no? Like, they lock it in the closet for the rest of the...
It's a little bit of a scam, isn't it? Yeah.
It's the most stingiest opening times of any of these paintings.
It's pretty bad, yeah, pretty bad. Well,
4 days a week, 1 hour a day. During lunch times, 11:15 to 12:15, I believe the tickets are sold.
It's very, very sensitive painting, clearly, yeah. No too many eyes on it.
Yeah.
But anyways, Black Summer, yeah, this is pretty grim painting.
Series?
No, not at all, no.
Yeah, I couldn't find many Cypriot artists, but Telemachus Contos is known more for his, classic landscape, what you would expect from the islands, around. Anyways, he was also around Cyprus when it was invaded by the Turks in the 70s.
Yeah.
And he kind of switched his style quite dramatically to do some really dramatic black and white imagery.
Yeah, this is not a beautiful landscape, yeah.
Yeah, kind of the suffering and the persecution of the people that they faced during this invasion.
Yeah, so you kind of have like a couple of... Yeah, a man in the foreground, like an older man, head in his hands, a woman like holding a child, and they're all kind of gaunt, kind of angular. And in the background, there's like a woman was like a statue, like a...
Yeah, maybe a corpse, I'm not
maybe
sure.
Maybe a corpse, yeah.
But it's I can see this being pretty moving, especially with a few more of his works in the gallery. And,
yeah, he's like all in a row. Like I can understand that. Yeah, but for me, Meet on the Turret Stairs.
I would agree. I'm not sure how much I like it as a painting.
Okay.
I think it's well painted in the sense it looks like a photograph.
Mawkish.
Sorry?
It's a bit mawkish for you.
I guess I've never used that word in my life, but...
a bit saccharine, like a bit too romantic.
I guess so. It's just a bit dramatic.
Yeah.
I don't know, but then it's supposed to be. It's not how I would greet my lover when I'm going to go fight her parents. But that's all I'll say.
Okay, that's fair.
Anyways, Last Supper, Leonardo da Vinci, the Italian choice.
Yeah.
I think it's a good Italian choice.
Look, you got 2 of the 4 turtles covered now with Michelangelo and Leonardo. Of course, Michelangelo loved pizza. Leonardo, leader of the group, and leading Italy with this painting here.
Because I could argue to choose the Mona Lisa.
Of course.
But I don't think it's very Italian. I think it's been kind of transmorphed into more of a French icon. Yeah,
I'd say it's more associated with France, yeah, for sure, as like a symbol of the country.
Plus, I think it's a bit more boring to talk about. Mona Lisa. I think it's one that people don't mind if you just knock out the first round. I think there's more stronger emotions.
Whoa, okay, big statement.
That's what maybe you would.
Big statement there, but anyway, it's 2 big hitters though, because you also have The Kiss by Gustav Klimt.
Yes, of Austria.
Yeah.
I have more facts on The Last Supper because I think it's a bit more of an interesting piece. I do think Leonardo da Vinci had a very clinically insane approach when it came to painting, where if you look at it long enough, especially with some kind of mathematical brain, you'll see a lot of numbers and measurements that align super well and stuff emerge from that. But the cool thing about this one, which
you'd say that there's a code of some kind.
Yeah, Da Vinci Code. Yeah, I'm not gonna go too much into those conspiracies and those thoughts. I did read Holy Blood, Holy Grail in high school. My chemistry teacher tried to borrow it off me and tried not to return that book.
You seem like totally the guy in school to be reading Da Vinci Code, to be honest.
No, I read Holy Blood, Holy Grail, which is the book it was based off. So, just gotta say, went one further.
Sure.
Wasn't that great of a book. Anyways, the whole perspective of this painting, and I was hoping to get more into perspectives and kind of how it was painted into the next round, which I have a few more facts lined up. I did a lot of preparation for this one. But it's all pointed directly on Jesus. Every single angle is aligned with how Jesus is situated.
Yeah.
in this painting,
It's
which I
just
thought was
center
quite
attention.
impressive. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing, it's not really a painting.
It's fresco, yeah.
It's just painted on a wall.
Exactly, in the monastery, yeah. Yeah, you can see in the photo the door like cutting into the table.
Yeah, because this thing was forgotten for quite some time. It was a stable for a while, stable wall basically. And even the way Da Vinci painted was quite terribly because he used a different method and it started flaking off in like 20 years.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. Like he was a great bullshitter, Da Vinci. Like terrible at finishing projects, but people just kept like commissioning him because he was able to like, selling the moon and the stars, and just could never quite stick to any one project.
About the fact he couldn't finish any of these, he took a few years to finish this one as well. And one of the guys at the abbey, he built this on his wall in the monastery, complained about it. He was like, "Yo, when is the Da Vinci guy gonna finish it?" And Da Vinci's excuse was, "I can't find the right references for the people in the painting." But he's like, "But I think I've solved this issue now. I think for Judas, I found the perfect reference piece." So apparently, he used that guy's face.
He was just waiting for someone to be a pain in the arse. And he was just like, whoever is the first person to annoy him in this monastery will be Judas.
And he went back with renewed vigor.
Excellent. I love the pettiness.
Yeah, I thought that was a fun fact.
Yeah.
The Kiss I have less fun facts about. Apparently, there's a lot of Egyptian references, a lot of, Bohemian, little cool little.
Well, yeah, Klim's father was from Bohemia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a gold. He worked in gold impressions, something like that. Gold things. He worked with gold.
Gold smithing.
Gold engravings.
Engravings. There we go. Yeah.
Which you could see maybe in this painting.
No, it's a very romantic painting in a different way from some of the romantic ones that we've seen. Like compared to the Hildebrandt, like this is more like abstract, but it kind of has like this kind of like very deep sense of passion to it.
I relate a little bit to this painting because as a tall man who seems to be with shorter women, you could tell there's a decent height difference between these two.
To be fair, like 99% of women are shorter than you, so that's just something you have to deal with in your life.
I think it's okay painting. It's never blown me up. I think it's almost on the point of being a bit tacky. Like those grandmothers who have those houses filled of the little statues of things and like those glittery
you're
shirts.
Say it's a knick-knack.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of that.
Jesus, you're coming for everyone today, Simon. I have to say, I'm loving it, though. Our critic Simon is a savage.
I didn't take these notes for nothing.
That is true. That is true. Yeah, let's send the Last Supper through then.
Yeah,
so.
I will say that there's a lot more interesting stories about a lot of Gustav Klimt's other work, which got stolen by the Nazis, and then there's a whole big selling of them a few years ago when they all got legally returned to the owners.
Okay.
So there's some really nice art history behind there if you're interested in the thefts of art, which I very much am. So
I can tell. Yeah.
We have, moving onwards, we've Woman with a Hat 1 by Albin Brovovsky from Slovakia, 1981 painting.
Yeah.
Versus Stanzik during a ball at the court of Queen Bona in the face of a loss of Smolensk, painted by Jan Metejko from Poland.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Stanichik, was one of the ones that I recommended. This is a painting that I'm very fond of. Not seen it in person, sadly. But again, this powerful kind of personal story being told via a painting. And like a very important historical moment, and even just little touches. So Stanichik, people who don't know, is like a court jester. I think it's the 1600s, 1700s? 1500s, okay. So Stanichik, court jester in the 1500s, and there's a ball going on. And in the background of the painting, you can see people making merry, the elites of society. But Stanichik has just gotten this letter telling him about this defeat in Smolensk, which is in Russia, I believe.
Not sure.
Yeah, but this is a huge, important defeat, and will kind of signal a very dark period for the Polish people, and the loss of kind of lands and kind of the Russians kind of moving west and stuff. So it's but Stanichik is the only one at this moment in time who realizes the immensity of it. And the rest of people are kind of partying and having a great time. And he is just kind of there, lost in his thoughts, but while still dressed as a jester. So there's that contrast too. He's wearing the hat with the little bells on it. But it's a very powerful painting, I think.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting learning more about him because the real life character, he was a jester, but he was very skilled in like satire, and he was really well respected not only by nobility but also like the common people for really making political points, you know, pointing to stuff.
Yeah, like they were one of the few people at that time who could actually poke fun at the king. Like comedy was one of the few ways they could actually get away with like making fun of like the royalty without like, you know, getting your head chopped off.
Exactly. It reminds me kind of even of like the role that modern like comics have in today's society. And
the best ones, definitely, yeah.
Anyways, I'm okay with it. I think it speaks to a moment. I'm not fond of the overuse of red to some extent.
Okay.
It's not my cup of tea, but I do enjoy the emotions that's captured in it. And I think from your dialogue at the beginning, that's kind of what matters for you. So.
Yeah. Thank you for recognizing my preferences.
Anyways, one artist I was loved to discover was Alban Bernovsky. Have you heard of him?
No, but I see there's a lady with a big hat on.
Well, if you look closer, he is a surrealist, a really talented abstract artist who really specialized in making these prints where the whole scene kind of keeps you more away. So instead of wearing a hat, he kind of transformed that into like an ocean with little boats on and stuff like
Struggling, against the waves, So it kind of looks like a big like fur hat or something. But then, as you're looking closer, you realize, it's morphing into like a raging sea, and like there's like 3 boats struggling against the waves.
Yeah. And a lot of his paintings kind of deal with like changing these characteristics into something more like magical, more poetic, stuff like that.
Magical realism.
I really enjoyed looking at his work. I'm not sure if this is the most famous one. I'm not sure if he's the most famous Slovakian artist, but he stood out to me, and I took him on. So I really have a soft spot for him.
We're just 2 dudes with a podcast.
Yeah.
Personally, I would go for Stanichik. That's my preference.
The basic choice again. I'll go with it too.
Sorry. Earlier, I went against Monet, and you were like, "Oh, we can't knock Monet out in the first round."
Yeah, but it's Monet.
And now also I'm basic. Because for I picked one that's more well known. It's like
I am siding with you. I enjoy the importance it has the Polish narrative because I think even today, like I read through a lot of articles and stuff where they're saying it still speaks a lot to the plight of the Polish people today, finding their meaning in the face of like colossal odds.
Yeah, like Poland disappeared from the map.
Yeah. And this painting disappeared from Poland, stolen by the Nazis.
That's for the Nazis, man.
Then taken by the USSR.
I'm gonna say it. Nazis, not good.
A few of these paintings have Nazi ties. I'm not sure if I got into those, but
okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, Finland versus Hungary.
We have Lemminkainen's Mother by Akseli Gallen-Kallela. He was a really famous Finnish artist. This painting, I think, was 1897. Apologies. Against the Last Day of a Condemned Man by Mihaly Mukasey from Hungary, 1872.
Yeah, so 2 paintings, 2 artists I'm not familiar with. So I'm just meeting these for the first time. So we had Lemminkainen's Mother. Like it seems to be like a death scene, maybe kind of evocative of Jesus.
Kind of. So the whole thing is, Akseli, the artist, his most famous work is painting for the Finnish Kalevala, which was like a 19th century Finnish epic. Finnish history. So he did all the paintings and illustrations for that.
Okay,
and this is a scene in there where Lemminkainen, who's like this dapper, arrogant like young soldier, went to go either swim in a river to like kill a swan or to go find a lover or something.
Okay.
Anyways, he died, drowned, got dismembered, brutally savage, and his mother apparently went into the river, dug out all his body parts, put them together, and she's waiting now for a bee to come of all things, which is a sign of the gods to kind of revive him back into life.
Okay. Yeah, because it's an interesting composition, because the body's laid out, and the mother is like there, hand on like his stomach.
Yeah.
But she's like not looking towards us, she's like looking up like to the heavens. So like it is an interesting kind of like positioning in the painting.
Yeah, I think it's okay. Not my favorite. I thought that Akseli had a lot of other paintings that spoke really interestingly. Like he spent time in Rwanda. Not Rwanda, sorry. In what's the other one that sounds similar? This is probably not a good thing to record. But he spent some time in Kenya, sorry.
Okay.
And in A's. That's where I was going.
There we go, yeah.
And he did some nice paintings there of landscapes, stuff like that. Did some time in New Mexico before going back to Sweden.
Interesting guy. We're giving you guys an education. Make sure to Google after this, okay?
Yeah. Anyways, Last Day of a Condemned Man. It's a picture of a man condemned for death. He doesn't look very hungry.
No, that is true. Yeah, he's just kind of sitting there in his cell, and I'm just going to just skip that joke completely.
There were two versions of this painting.
Okay.
There was also one with more people around him. But I think this one speaks a bit more towards like the reflection, depression.
Yeah, and like no one's gonna come with you when you die, so you're just like you're just there thinking about everything that you've done. It's a nice painting. I probably wouldn't stop me in my tracks too much if I was in a gallery, to be honest.
Yeah, I think if it's in the right mood, the right setting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think maybe Lemminkeinen's Mother stands out more to me.
Yeah. I don't enjoy his kind of style of painting the bodies that color. It reminds me, I feel like they did a lot of that in like the 1500s or whatever. I was never the biggest fan of that. It always seems a bit too ghostly to me.
Yeah. Like it's definitely more stylized.
I prefer the Mihaly one, but that's just me. I think it speaks a bit more to like the thought behind it.
I won't fight you on it.
Yeah.
If you wanna send.
I just think that Oxley has more interesting works in my defense before the Finns get mad at me.
Okay. If only you were the ones picking the paintings.
If only, but I tried to pick the most representative painting, the most famous one.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, final matchup. I feel like we've been going for quite some time.
Because you have been.
Yes, an hour and a half. Anyways, final one is finally some good nudity. A nude woman doing her hair before a mirror by Christopher Wilhelm Eckersberg of Denmark. Versus Oxcart by Nicolae Grigorescu from Romania.
Okay. Again, two new paintings to me. I'll have my eyes opened during this session. So the nude woman doing her hair before a mirror. So it's a great title because it really explains what exactly is going on. So we're behind the woman, and she is indeed doing up her hair. She has a towel covering her bottom half, and we can just see the mirror, so we can just see like her face and up until her décolletage, you could say.
Yeah. I'm not too impressed by it. Apparently, it's considered one of the great Danish masterpieces from their golden era.
Okay.
Apparently, it's on some books and stuff.
Yeah, anytime you're doing painting with a mirror, like you're able to have a challenge.
I think it's a nice looking painting. This just doesn't
do anything for you. Yeah, I don't think the arm doesn't quite match for me between the mirror and the real life. I don't know.
I see what you mean. She moved a little between poses.
I did suggest Danish painting to you, but you didn't take it up.
I did. You did, but I couldn't really find it.
Oh, okay, I was just being very mysterious then. Yeah.
I was like, this one seems to be a bit more famous.
Okay, well, that's fine.
Well, second round. What are these? The quarterfinals?
I guess there. Yeah. Our way to the last 16. Yeah.
Well, we're starting off with the classic matchup: the French versus the English. The Fighting Tremaire versus the Water Lily Pond.
Ancient rivals colliding once again. The warship versus the flower.
But they're both
nice
very.
Contrast.
They're both very. In terms of, because I promised to go a bit more into the artistic styles.
Here we go.
Segment.
Yeah.
And I think if you both analyze it, because I think one interesting thing to analyze whenever you see paintings of water-based subjects is how the artists render the water. Because it's hard to render something which is, if you just color it blue, it just looks like a kindergarten thing, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you see how the Fighting Tremaire, if you turn it upside down, it almost looks the same from both sides, but you can really see the gleam of the sun coming off there.
The browns and the greens going on in there, like the water is just kind of absorbing whatever's coming into it.
I think it creates a really nice image. You can kind of see the sunset coming through. The other thing that people point to, which is somewhat significant, is how both ships, like obviously the steam barge pulling at the tugboat, is much smaller than the ship in the forefront.
Yeah.
But the water, they're the same size, basically. So it kind of signifies,
The technology is kind of making up for the lack of size and stuff. Yeah. Okay, yeah, interesting.
Speaking about more of the artistic the techniques for the water lily pond, same story. Because when you look at the water there, all you see is really the water, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's just reflections, yeah.
And it's just really, the way he creates those water, it's almost like he paints like an actual texture of a field. It's really impressive.
Yeah.
I think he has this really unique way of painting too, where he doesn't try to mix colors, where he does stripes beside each other. So if you really zoom in, you don't see that he pushed them together. He just made like 2 swipes like this. It's like all the water lilies you see in there are just individual stripes like going over the painting. And like when you see him like a video or two of him paint, which do exist, it's quite interesting.
Wow, yeah, I didn't know there was videos of him painting even, so...
The other cool thing with the water lily pond is that it's missing one thing.
Is it a water lily?
No, it's in this other painting is water lilies. It's missing the vantage point. You never see the water drop off. It's just a solid barrier when you're in the orangerie. It's all you see is the whole expanse of the pond. You don't know where you are situated, above it, below it. You just see the water itself.
Ah, okay, interesting. Yeah. God, I'm getting quite an education here, Simon. I'm impressed.
Yeah.
I would still go for the fighting Tremaire if I had to choose one.
You would go for that?
Yeah.
I would personally go to water lily pond. I just think it speaks a bit more towards... I just feel like I have more emotions when I see it.
Okay.
What do you think?
I feel like I get more emotion to see the fighting Tremaire. But then again, it is British. Maybe I should send you the French one just to despite.
We can do our little rock, paper, scissors for this.
We can save it for later. I think we can come up again. So
I'll promise to go a bit less heavy on the Claude Monet in the next round.
Yeah. I'm sensing a Monet stan here, sitting next to me.
I was never that big into him, but I do like gardens. I do like this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's
I'm getting that vibe.
It's a worthy expedition. But I saw a few videos on how he painted these paintings, the history behind it. I was just really impressed by how the whole orangerie came to be and the stuff displayed there. So, yeah. Here we go.
Okay, big hitters, lads. Big hitters all around.
Old versus new, I guess you could call it.
Indeed, yeah.
It's the Sistine Chapel versus the persistence of memory.
I think I'm more old, to be honest. Actually, Sistine Chapel, I know I'd be like, oh, it took more effort, therefore it's better. But in a way, like, yeah, the scale of it is kind of staggering. And you said Persistence of Memory is like what, like just a little square.
Yeah.
And obviously, yeah, the abstract is kind of like it's a new way of conceptualizing art and so on. But Adam touching it to God, like that is just an amazing like image that's like in the cultural memory, like. So yeah, I wouldn't pick Dali, unfortunately.
I'll show you 2 little Easter eggs from both paintings.
Okay, here we go. Let's see if this sways me.
Let's see like the perspective is actually right for you to see. The whole creation of Adam, the main central point, right?
Yeah.
It kind of looks like a human brain.
I've heard that.
The lobes, yeah. Which I thought was neat.
That is pretty cool. Yeah.
So not that cool of an Easter egg. This one, that central thing in the middle. What is this?
It's a good question, actually. I have no idea.
It looks a bit like a face, or not Picasso, how Dali drew faces, and people think that's a self-portrait of himself that he put in the middle of the painting.
Oh, it's kind of like a profile of a face. Oh, yeah, you kind of see like a nose.
Hair.
Yeah, okay. Oh, yeah, interesting. Oh, yeah, there we go. And yeah, I guess, that could be the mustache, yeah.
Does the inclusion of Salvador Dali win you over?
No, doesn't. Okay. I think the brain is much cooler inclusion.
You'd rather have God than Salvador Dali, right?
Yeah, ultimately.
Nah, but I think that Sistine Chapel, it is a good accomplishment in human history.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking about accomplishments, but dropping to good, we're going into The Wanderer Above the Sea of Fog by Caspar David Friedrich versus Rex by N.K. Ciurlionis.
Yeah.
These are kind of similar paintings, I feel like.
Yeah, they are in a way, like, about like power and dominance and
scale.
And scale.
What I go for.
Indeed. So, yeah, for me, if it's a choice between 2 similar subjects, I'm going to go with more realistic painting. I think so. I think
So Rex, right?
I would
Heavenly
choose.
clash between good and evil.
No, I think Friedrich. I feel like if I saw Rex in a gallery and I had a better view of it, maybe I'd like it more. Like that's the thing too to realize here is like, you know, we're just looking at these paintings on a screen.
Yeah.
So maybe like
No, we have them all on this side.
we've had them shipped in.
There's a reason I'm so obsessed over art theft.
Yeah. So yeah, that's obviously going to like maybe affect our views. Like some of these paintings, you need the full scale to really appreciate them. But I think for me, Friedrich, my choice.
Oh, I mean, I see where you're coming from. I can't argue with it too hard. If it was Friedrich versus number 6, so Mark Rothko's piece,
Yeah.
Rothko all the way.
Okay.
I think it speaks much more to you know the human emotion. And it's not here. I shouldn't be talking about it.
Get over it, Simon. Come on.
Yeah. Cool thing about the Wanderer Above the Sea, a fog. It's all centered on his heart. In terms of perspective, that it was painted. I think it's a bit corny, but okay. Anyways.
God, you're such a hater. It's crazy. Yeah.
A little bit. So now we have the ancient Greek vase paintings of Ezekiel. I didn't pick one in specific because I didn't know if they had names and I didn't want to be wrong. So, anyways.
Smart.
And then with Guernica by Pablo Picasso, which I promised I had more facts about. But when I look at these two, they seem like a good matchup, no?
Yeah, in a way, actually. There's like the way the representation of human bodies is kind of similar and like kind of the geometry. Yeah, exactly. It's like
broken vase.
how we kind of come full circle. Like, you know, we try to get more and more realistic looking and then to kind of break it back down again.
Yeah. Well, I think the other fact I had, which I don't know if you knew, is that this was for the longest time displayed at the MoMA in, I think, New York, so the Museum of Modern Art, and they always wanted to bring it back to Spain. And Franco actually personally asked Picasso if he could, but Picasso said, no, I'm only letting it being brought back when Spain is a democracy again. And so it only finally returned to Spain in the 1980s after some harsh negotiation with MoMA to let it go.
That's
we're not
thing,
too happy about.
Yeah. These galleries, when it comes to art pieces, they're going to cling on for dear life, especially ones as iconic as Gallen-Kallela. And I think it is iconic, and for me, it is one of the best paintings of the 20th century, if not the best.
But will it still be around in 2,000 years?
That's a good question.
And could you drink from it?
Yeah. The practicality element, actually, is true. Well, I'm sorry to Ezekiel. You should be proud though. The fact that you made it here 2,000 years after you died is
and now we smashed on the floor.
Yeah, there we go. Like a good Greek wedding or something.
Yeah. Okay, now it's a this side. I thought when we were doing the first round that this side of bracket shows itself a bit more than the other one.
Okay.
But I think that brings up some really good matchups now.
This is hard.
Starting with The Scream versus The Night Watch.
Oh, God.
Should we start with the robberies?
Yes, talk about those. Maybe I can do some thinking then.
Yeah, let me quickly find my note while I do it, because the robberies were quite interesting. Sorry for the scribbling in the background. I did not number these properly.
Well, I've got a bit of a cold, so I'm sniffling, he's shuffling papers, so this is an auditory treat for you guys.
Yeah, maybe I'll just do it off the top of my head, because I completely lost my settings of where they are.
Or maybe I just make up a story about how they were stolen.
Here we go.
Oh, here we go. Great.
Okay, 94. First time it was stolen, one of the 4.
Okay.
The day of the opening ceremony of the Winter Olympics.
In Lillehammer.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some guy, Paul Enger, he was obsessed over the painting.
Okay.
And he was also obsessed over gangster movies and becoming a criminal.
Oh, God.
And 4 years ago, Paul Enger stole a different painting, which he thought was The Scream, but turned out to be the wrong one. The Vampire is what he stole, which he quickly got caught for and spent 4 years in prison, I believe, which ruined his professional soccer career at Oslo or some...
There's not a team called Oslo.
Or Norwegian FC thing. But anyways.
I like the confidence you went to when he started that sentence. Yeah.
Anyways, he was unrepentant, so day of the Olympics, he was like, you know what? No police around. I'm gonna grab a ladder, grab a homeless person to help me, which he did.
Oh my God.
And he went into the window, broke a window, took the painting, left a little note, which said, Nope. It said, "Thank you for the poor security," and was gone.
This guy has seen some gangster movies, to be fair, so that's a good line. Yeah.
And then the man reveled in the fact that he stole this painting because he just started, playing with the police because they couldn't pin it to him because they didn't have any evidence. So he took an ad out in the local newspaper because his son born, and he said he was born with a scream. Which I thought was kind of funny.
This is great. This is like a guy who's watched too many movies and is now just doing everything he ever dreamed of doing.
He also called the police on himself when he was driving around his car. An anonymous tip that he stole the painting. They didn't find it anonymous, of course.
There must be a movie about this guy. He says he's such a character.
Yeah. And so eventually what happened is Scotland Yard got involved of all reasons.
Oh, okay.
So they sent him up for a sting operation because he tried to sell it back for some money. I don't know if he's ever going to go through with it. But they planned a sting operation. He showed up with his infant son, still in the story, and pulled a gun to his son's head to get out of this. But they eventually caught him. And guess how many years he served in prison for stealing this painting?
2.
0.
Wow, okay. So Norwegian prison system, man.
Well, he served 4 years for the gun charges. But for the painting theft charges, they were dropped. Because apparently the Scottish or the Scotland Yard people came in on invalid work permits or something.
We love a technicality, lads. We love a technicality.
And he boasts about it. He has no regrets of having done it.
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not. He must do a lot of talks and stuff. He must be great in the after dinner circuit in Norway.
I guess so. He does seem a bit like what's the saying? A knobhead.
It's not a saying, it's just a word. But it does seem the story's great up until he threatens to kill his son.
Yeah.
That's the bit where he lost me. The rest of it, I was like, you know what, fair fucks you, Paul.
You just like the painting,
You just like the painting, yeah.
2004, it was stolen again from the I think the Munch Museum, Munch Museum.
Munch, yeah.
A bunch of gunmen came in, took it, left. Took him a few years to recover.
You see, that's the problem. Like back in the day, like the robbers, they were more entertaining. Now just come a load of guns. Like Paul Enger would never have done that.
Do you think they stole it because there's multiple copies and it's easier to sell? That seems like stupid when I say it now because they're all very distinctive. But
no, I think it's just because it's famous. But it's like that's the thing about art theft to me that like makes no sense.
Yeah, I mean there are probably like some like obscure Russian billionaires who would pay a bit of money to have below market value, but that's still several million, right?
But like versus like just like stealing like some cash or stealing gold bars or something that's hard to trace. Like stealing a painting, like you just kind of think like that's very difficult.
I do think it's a bit romantic. If I was going to do any theft, I think doing an art theft would be the most fun.
You'd steal Monet, that's for sure. Anyway, Jesus,
I'd be lugging around some.
Yeah, he's got a 30-foot tall Rothko painting in the boot of his car.
Yeah, but yeah.
And the Night Watch, yes. Anyway,
and this is all about protecting the city from harm.
Indeed,
them walking around at night.
Yeah. Paul Enger wouldn't have got through them, that's for sure.
I think in some regards, and I will be very, I'll be very honest here. I think the Scream is a bit more of a symbol.
I think so, yeah.
Whereas the Night Watch, I think, is more relevant to Dutch people.
Yeah,
the Dutch people are not the only people in the world.
That's very mature to say.
Yeah.
Well, I guess now that you're a dual citizen, you have that perspective.
Yeah.
For me, I prefer the Scream.
I will say the way it came up like this, if it was Starry Night instead, which is my other secondary choice, I would have pushed it up above Scream.
Yeah, I would disagree.
It's kind of like the luck of the draw,
Yeah, and I'm not yawning because I'm bored. It's just it's 10 p.m. We're recording this.
So. We're gonna get wrapping up soon. Now we have the treachery of images versus meeting on the turret stairs.
Yeah. Oh, this is hard because like I know the Mrkvicka one's a lot more famous and like it has it's like turning art in its head kind of element I just said earlier, but then also like I like the Irish one and it's Irish and some blind patriotism on my part, guys.
One thing that bothers me about the Mrkvicka is that the Ceci is not the same distance away from the words as the other ones. You see the little gap?
Yeah. Like it looks like it's going to be just kind of handwritten. Like well, yeah, people aren't consistent when they write, so I
guess so.
It's fine.
I just when I was doing this, I just didn't really get the magic of the meeting on the turret stairs. It seemed too much like a picture, right? And there was a split second when I was going through like reading the stories and like I kind of get it. But
and then went
but
again.
Yeah, I think it's like kind of like the Rothko again, where you have to be up close to really appreciate it.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not locked away in its closet for 23 hours a day.
You said as if it was my decision.
You're
Like,
Irish. You paid the taxes there. Well, at one point in your life.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Look, yeah. If you're not feeling it, like, I'm happy to go with Mrkvicka as well.
Yeah, I think this side of the bracket will be kind of the lucky side in some regards. The luck of the draw.
We got through one, guys. We got through one. Yeah.
Speaking about big hitters coming up against each other, The Last Supper versus
Staniczyk.
Staniczyk. I'm terrible at Polish names, so apologies to any Polish listeners.
He's terrible with a lot of names, not his Polish ones.
Yeah, I mean, I'm equally terrible to everybody. I think for me, it's The Last Supper personally. I know you have a soft spot.
I do have a soft spot for Staniczyk. Like I did kind of mention that like explicitly when we were talking before making this episode. But yeah, I can't dispute The Last Supper, can I?
Yeah, it's the Last Supper they ever ate.
It really was, guys.
Stuns.
It really was. Yeah.
He ate again.
La Ultima Chain or whatever they called it. Yeah.
Are you on the topic of The Last Supper? What do you think of art restoration? Because I think that's a big talking point when it comes to The Last Supper. Because they restored in the late 90s.
Yeah.
And then there was a big controversy about, the colors are too bright now. He changed some of the facial features. Because, I mean, it was a crumbling apart painting.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's permitted?
Well, for me, it's like, what's the alternative?
Right.
If you want art to
restoration.
Yeah, no, but if you want art to decay and crumble, like, sure, that's your like prerogative. But if the owners want to preserve it, then they you know, I don't see the problem. Like, obviously, it's a very difficult skill because, like, in this case, you're talking about like a painting, a fresco that was, you know, painted, you know, 300-400 years before we even had photography. So like we don't really know how it actually originally looked.
We do.
Oh God. Okay.
At the time, I'm setting you up for this because this is my local Belgian fact.
Oh, okay, right. There's a trap. I should have known. Anyway, come in with misery.
A few of Da Vinci's students were around and painted copies of the original composition.
Okay.
You can view them in a few museums around the world, including the Leonardo da Vinci Museum near Antwerp.
Oh,
which
well,
I didn't know existed.
Leonardo da Vinci Museum in Flanders. Okay, well, yeah, we'll have to go and check it out.
So.
And they're better preserved.
Yeah, they're more accurate to what it originally looked like. So.
Okay, well, thanks for making me look like an idiot in front of all my friends on this podcast.
That's what I live for. The Last Day of a Condemned Man versus Ox Cart.
Jesus, yeah. It's not like, you know, quite as glamorous as some of the other matchups like Turner versus Monet or whatever. Apologies to Munkici and Grigorescu, but yeah. I like the ox cart. It's got oxen.
It's quaint. I'm not even sure if this is his most famous painting. It was just one that stuck out to me.
You shouldn't keep saying that.
I'm just trying to cover my ass here. I just saw that he had this obsession. He like retired near the end of his life.
Okay.
Near some French town or some Romanian town, and just started painting ox carts every single day.
I feel like a lot of painters get that into that zone though.
It's like the perfect ox cart.
Yeah, like Monet and his lilies, and Van Gogh and his sunflowers.
True.
Yeah.
And his self-portraits. Oops, sorry.
Yeah.
I zoomed out a bit too much here. Okay, moving onwards. It's the Water Lily Pond versus the Sistine Chapel ceiling.
I've not been against the Water Lily since the start, but I'm kind of like, I also don't want it to win because you seem so obsessed with this kind of. I'm like, please.
I'm okay with it not winning though.
Can we say Sistine Chapel then?
I can't have two French victories in a row on my
no
produced
no
shows.
no pas de tout. So yeah, Sistine Chapel I would vote for in this case.
I'll move forward as well. I think it is quite a remarkable work of art.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind seeing it topple. Not the work of art, but on this list.
At the Catholic Church, yes.
I'm not going to, lower my life expectancy by saying that, but yeah.
Okay. Sure, I wasn't that either.
Oh God. Will it finally fall?
This is your version now. You're like, you want to see Friedrich go, man.
I'm just over it. It's not my...
Wait, at what point were you over it?
When I realized that it was supposed to be a famous painting and not some artist rendering of what,
That's great, though.
Because I never realized it was such a famous painting until I saw people, printing it elsewhere. I'm like, this is just the cover of my old Nietzsche notebook.
God, that just shows you're uncultured. So that's your problem.
Well, name me another famous German painter. That was the other issue I had. You know, France has a ton of them. I cut out so many, like Paul César.
Courbet.
Yeah, the guy who did the Lady Liberty, Delacroix, I believe his name was.
Yeah.
You know, Pablo Picasso, allegedly. But yeah, same with Netherlands, same with Italy.
Yeah.
Germany just didn't really hit that mark, so.
It does have as many big names. That's fair. That's fair. But anyway, Guernica, I'd vote for in this situation instead of our good friend Friedrich. That was just a sneeze of joy there for Guernica going through.
You could have waited a second and called it a scream of joy.
I could have potentially, yes.
As we're now on to the Scream versus the Treachery Images.
I think Treachery Images is doing well to get this far, so I think we need to put Scream through.
I mean, for something that isn't even a painting.
It's just a pipe, you guys.
Yeah. I don't know what the big deal is. But
okay, so last quarterfinal.
Yeah. The Last Supper versus the Ox Cart.
Underdog story, under ox story. The ox cart getting this far. That's a weak opposition. Apologies to Denmark and Hungary, but come on, Da Vinci.
I was hoping that, I mean, as we zoom out a little bit towards, to look at the final four, I was hoping there'd be a bit more of a surprise in here.
You might recall earlier, I was pushing for a surprise in the Absinthe Drinker, and you said no, we can't have the Lily Pads go out in the first round.
I was really in favor of it.
Yeah.
Other than the Monet.
Okay. What's the underdog painting that you? Well, I would have sent through the Irish one. I would have sent through Meeting on the Turret Stairs.
True. I guess so.
And I could have sent through Stanichik as well, to be honest.
True.
But look,
I feel like you've been overruled.
I'm just saying it's your podcast. You do all the research. I don't want to.
This is kind of what art is, though, right? Where polar opinions compromise towards
your opinion,
the averages.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Yes, and then we get the famous ones in the first place. So this is kind of
the
like
cream rises to the top.
Yeah,
ladies and gentlemen.
Well, let's start at the top of the Sistine Chapel ceiling.
Indeed. Sistine Chapel versus Guernica. Okay, this is pretty hard.
One built after the labors of war. One built because of it. If I'm politically correct in saying that.
Wow. That's so deep, man. That is so deep.
I met a Picasso once. Did I tell you about this?
No.
I don't know if I'm contractually obliged not to reveal this information, but I will anyways. But I worked at a private school in Switzerland for a summer. Or not a summer, for a winter.
Yeah.
Learned to ski. And one of the grandchildren of Picasso was there.
Damn.
Chill guy.
That's kind of crazy. Picasso had kids super old. That was grandkids.
Yeah, he was a nice kid. They did the thing where he had 4 hyphenated last names to keep the Picasso in there.
Oh, yeah.
But,
that's a bit crazy. But again, have you seen Picasso's full name?
Yeah, it's kind of Spanish.
It's kind of mad.
Grimace on my face.
It's about 20 words in the one name. So
I do think that's a lot of pressure to put on somebody to force that name in there. Because I would just let it drop at one point. Does it really matter?
Like Alessandro Mussolini, the MEP.
Yeah, that one I don't get. I mean, fair enough.
That's a different story, guys. This is a hard one.
I would vote Guernica. I think
Great.
that...
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to say much more, but I think it's a bit more...
If I think about how it makes me feel... then I think it's going to be Guernica over Sistine Chapel.
Yeah, because like I said, I had some complaints about the presentation of the Sistine Chapel, which seems like a very obscure point. But then again, I haven't seen Guernica in real life, so can't say much. So
yeah, you got to go to Madrid, man. You got to go. Some great paintings.
Yeah.
Goya would have also been a great choice.
Yeah, that's
a Spanish artist.
Yeah, there's another one. Velasquez was also one.
Las Minas. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, there are a lot of great Spanish painters.
Yeah, well, giving them their flowers.
You can't choose them all, lads. You can't choose them all. Okay, second semi.
The Scream versus The Last Supper.
Again, I think think it's going to be a Scream for me.
Does it bother you that one of them has been sold into private collection?
No.
No?
I think I can get over that, yeah.
Okay, I guess there's still 3 remaining in the public collection.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's not a big deal.
I'll go Scream as well. I think The Last Supper... I want to say it transcends being a painting, but that sounds like I'm giving it too many compliments.
There we go.
But I feel like it's... I don't know. I think people overhype it to some extent. They try to read way too much into it and don't appreciate the meaning of what it's trying to convey. And that emotion what it's trying to convey is just a biblical story.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, my whole thing in the beginning, why I prefer more of the abstract reasons, where you're able to perceive your own emotions in that picture. Whereas I feel like The Last Supper, again, is in that prescriptive line of thinking. So it's a very personal opinion here.
I think though that opinion, or your kind of reasoning, I think I'm starting to understand that more as we do this process in the last couple hours. So because we've been able to do kind of more abstract paintings that I maybe wasn't expecting. But then when I was thinking about my emotions, I was closing my eyes and picturing it. I was like, these are the right choices here. So Gallen-Kallela and the Scream.
As we go to the final one, whose names you just mentioned, do you feel like we would receive hate if we voted against a symbol of international peace or protest?
From people on Reddit, definitely, yeah.
Okay.
But I think we're going to receive hate anyway for several choices on this, and I'm okay with that because I don't know those randomers on Reddit.
Yeah, the Scream, I enjoy the Krakatoa reference. I have a really soft spot for Krakatoa.
Also, the best superhero in that episode is SpongeBob. So
again, your lack of class is showing. But
that's a great episode. That's all
I would
I'm
put
saying.
Scream. I think it speaks a little more towards my emotions in a sense.
See, I want to get into cat. Is this a rock paper scissors? The first ever rock paper scissors final?
Maybe because my issue with not putting Guernica through, and it's not because it's not a majestic painting. It doesn't have a lot of meaning. I think again the meaning is a bit more prescribed on it rather than
it's an actual event that happened. Yeah.
Even looking backwards at for instance the Sower, right, which is supposed to represent Slovenian culture. I can look at that and then read into that as a viewer of the painting. I get a bit into Guernica, but I think it's more of a symbol of a time and a place. And I think that transcends being a painting in a sense. I think that's the line and the hill I'm going to die on.
Okay. Look, I think you've argued quite well. And I think I'm happy to concede the Scream to you.
And we will make Paul Anger very happy.
Paul Anger, if you're listening, please get in touch. We'll have you on.
I guess I would. Don't know how much I would encourage that. I think that's a good way to wrap it up.
There we go.
I didn't expect the Scream to get this far, I will say.
Yeah, good on the Scream. There we go. Good on the Scream. I think I think it's a solid choice, and a non-EU option as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say one of our rogue shouts made it in.
There we go. Good on the EFTA. Yeah.
Low key, this is one of the reasons I voted against the Sistine Chapel as well. Because it's the Vatican.
Okay.
Imagine
That's
it
fair.
being a Vatican Last Supper matchup at the end.
Yeah, that would have been a bit too Catholic, to be fair. So
as a proud Protestant boy.
Okay. Well, very good, and this has been a lot of fun.
What did we learn?
We learned that no matter how hard we try, it will end up being a 2-hour podcast.
Damn. Yeah.
Yeah.
2 hour 15 minute. Is my prediction.
Let's see anyway, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. It's been a lot of fun.
Stick around. We do this maybe once a month. We did one last month on cryptids. If you don't know what those are, go check it out.
That was a very enjoyable episode too.
Next month, I think maybe we'll try something a bit lighter in terms of research.
Yes. Simon's paper has been used up at a ferocious rate at the moment.
I'm selling these as artworks, by the way. I had this feeling like...
Sign them, man. You gotta sign them.
No, but I let them speak for myself. My work in itself is a signature.
There you go. Yeah, we'll give those away. Yeah, on the on the LinkedIn page.
You do the little handouts. Yeah. Anyways, it's great having you again here, Dan, in my humble abode.
Yeah, pleasure is all mine, Simon. So yeah, thanks for the invite, and look forward to the next conversation.
Of course. And don't you, the humble listener, the loyal viewer, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment if you agree, leave a hateful comment if you disagree. Any interaction is good interaction.
Very true, very true. No such thing as bad engagement in this game.
There we go. Okay.
So, thanks very much.
See you later.
Slán.